Hey everyone, Pax here. When we first started Brotakus, we had one goal in mind: to single-handedly dominate the burgeoning anime podcasting market, crushing them under our heels. We'd already succeeded in stopping Joey the Anime Man's podcast, The Anime Show, from continuing, despite his last episode airing 2 years before our podcast even debuted. His sequel, however, Trash Taste with Sea-Dog, VA, and Giguk, still dominates the market, with those bastards over at IGN Anime Club still hawking garbage to those ever-oinking swine they call the fan base. Now, although Critical Role is not strictly an anime podcast, the entire cast is made up of anime voice actors, and we'd hoped that the overwhelming success of Brotakus would, by this time, have driven them all into severe unemployment and alcoholism. Yet they still remain, and Brotakus appears to have failed on every conceivable level. Now, any podcast goes through growing pains, after all. This American Lifer started out as a 3-hour-long freeform podcast where Ira Glass would talk about why his marriage was falling apart and why the Spanish are, quote, inherently duplicitous, shifty race of paella people. The Joe Rogan Experience initially began as a ASMR podcast where listeners could enjoy the sound of Joe Rogan moaning while slowly chewing elk meat and crunching on brain blast pills, sitting half an inch away from his Blue Yeti microphone with the gain turned up to max. And yet Brotaku's growth has been more painful than most. What initially began as an innocent, happy effort to drive all of our competitors into an inevitable Oxycontin overdose slowly evolved into something darker. We used to be happy, sitting down after a long day of work and chatting about what we thought Frieza's feet smelled like or which Naruto character has a wop. But slowly, things began to degrade. We started getting into huge fights over listenership numbers, blaming ourselves, but then eventually each other. It all came to a head one day after we received a devastating piece of correspondence from Popeyes, the renowned Louisiana chicken company, which I will now read in full. And actually, Hal, could you read this letter from Popeyes that we received?
If I have to read it again, sure.
Yeah.
To whom it may concern, although the Popeyes team greatly appreciates the enthusiasm with which you approached us to inquire about a potential sponsorship opportunity, we must admit that the nature of your request perplexes us. Firstly, your insistence that Popeyes was my favorite anime, please give us money, seemed spurious on multiple counts. We assumed that you were referring to the 1919 American cartoon character Popeye the Sailor Man. Unfortunately, we are not related to the Popeye the Sailor Man character, nor, to our knowledge, is Popeye an anime character. Additionally, we did not find that, upon requesting your listenership numbers, that just trust me, bro, please, I need a win, I just need a freaking win, man, to be an adequate response. While we appreciate your interest in collaborating with our company, we will, unfortunately, be forced to decline the generous opportunity with which you have presented us. We still welcome you in our establishment and encourage you to try our new butterfly fish and chicken tackle box combo meal, as well as our new limited time chocolate beignet desserts. Truly yours, Popeyes of America.
So yeah, this really effed me up.
Yeah.
And I definitely took it out on my co-host.
Yep.
We would usually spend 15 minutes before the episode hyping each other up. I would down 4 liters of G Fuel Gamerberry Delight. Hal would brainstorm a few lies about how he totally saw this week's anime, and all was well. After the Popeyes letter, however, I grew cruel and angry. I'd hurl racially charged slurs at him, which is a side effect of G Fuel. He'd call me a fake fan and say that I, quote, wasn't even a real gamer. So, you know, we were both doing equally bad stuff there. Eventually, however, it reached a tipping point, and we knew that we were going to have to make some significant changes to the podcast if our partnership was going to last. We knew that we couldn't compete in the anime field, however, but we wanted to keep some type of connection to our roots. We scoured the internet, researching day and night, trying to find a new angle. How can we make this work, we thought? What isn't being talked about in a podcast form that we could take advantage of? That's when it hit us. Hal gave me a call and said, Pax, I know we wanted to get out of the anime game, but maybe the problem isn't that we've been talking about anime, it's that we need to do a deep dive on one specific anime. I thought it was crazy, but I was willing to hear him out, and all my doubts disappeared when I heard what he had in mind. A total shift of the podcast, from talking about anime in general to talking about one specific show, the greatest anime of all time and also the first anime ever made, the anime from which all others descend, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. With that said, please enjoy our new podcast. We worked really, really hard on it, and I think that you're going to enjoy it. Thank you for sticking with us this long, and I hope you enjoy our new evolution. We couldn't have done it without our faithful listeners. So, without further ado, I present you Hal and Pax's new podcast. Please enjoy.
Hello, everybody. I'm Hal.
And I'm Pax.
And this is Scooby Dudes, the only podcast solely focused on the work and history of Scooby-Doo. We believe you don't need a major in duology to enjoy this wild, beautiful, and strange art form. And we're lucky to have you on this journey with us.
Shout out to all of our Scooby Duties out there. We appreciate your support and all of the messages of support we receive. Do you want to join the Duty Squad? Well, find us at Scooby Dudes on Patreon, where for only $45 a month, you can subscribe to our premium Discord server, where you can find the hottest Scooby-Doo memes and news, as well as a monthly Q&A where you can ask us all of your questions about duology and the Doo fandom. Hashtag Doo Life, baby. Now, don't have $45 a month to spend? Well, first off, get a job. But if you're gonna mooch off of us, then at least tell your friends and family about us so they can give us $45 a month. Please and thank you. Boom.
So, Pax, how are we doing today? What are we, I know that we've been working on this for a while. This felt like a long time coming, and I'm really glad that we did this together because it really felt like we were reaching a breaking point. But I don't know if everyone's going to understand exactly why we did this. Can you just sum it up in just one sentence? Why Scooby Dudes?
Well, I think because there's only one good anime and it's Scooby-Doo. I think that that's really the case. You think of
That's exactly right.
Yeah, exactly. What has sticking power for decades and decades and decades? I mean, Dragon Ball Z doesn't have even a tenth of the movies that Scooby-Doo does.
True.
You know, and in terms of our childhood, a lot of people have memories of the first time they saw a clip of, Cowboy Bep Bep on Adult Swim at, 2 a.m. But way more people have a memory of the first time they got an erection watching the Hex Girls in the Scooby-Doo Halloween special.
That's absolutely right. And you know what? I feel like this has been sort of like the new jar of Pringles in the back of my snack cabinet. The one that I've been looking for a long, long time. The one that I knew I bought, the one I knew I had, but I couldn't find it until one day I cleared out the snack cabinet in a fit of rage, and I saw it right in the back, and that's what Scooby is to me. It is an unopened can of Pringles.
Do you frequently have this Pringles issue? I feel like you presented that as a universal experience. I'm not sure that I've had this Pringles issue before.
What are you, a fucking cop?
You're right. Fuck me, man. I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry, fellow Scooby dudes. But I think you hit on something important earlier, which is that not everybody is going to really understand the motivation behind the shift. And I think that that's because not everybody really accepts. Most people do. Most people, when you say anime, they think, oh, you mean Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo. Yes.
And then you go, no, like Dragon Ball Z, and you go
right.
oh, Japanese anime, a Japanese one. But for those strange Neanderthal-blooded troglodytes who are busy scuffling around on their knuckles around there, who don't yet recognize this as an anime, I think we should kind of dig into why is its status as the anime indisputable? So we prepared a couple of reasons here, brother, right? And I think we're going to educate our ignorant audience as to why. Right.
And stick with us, guys. If at any point it's not making any sense, go read a fucking book, educate yourself. Just, I don't know, try to do better. And we're going to go through the list real quick. So starting off first, it's a band of high schoolers with seemingly non-existent or dead parents traveling across the country, going on insane adventures, often going up against otherworldly powers.
Oh, where'd I hear of that before? An anime, maybe? Maybe anime? Yeah. Okay. So, second off, detective show, just like Lupin the Third. The first anime was the inspiration for Sherlock Holmes. And there's a couple of things where oftentimes there'll be a mystery in an anime, and this is one all about mysteries.
That, and it also has the indisputable power of friendship no jutsu, the spirit of friendship that ties them together and always saves the day.
Absolutely. And, it is high schoolers that never live with their family, only in their own apartments. I'm thinking the Freddy, Shaggy, Scooby household, the Velma Daphne household.
Right. Then you have the classic anime, specifically shonen protag trope, Shaggy, who eats a lot, like Naruto, Luffy, or Goku. There's always a binge eater in anime. Where'd they get that inspiration?
Yeah, right? So, You take the next one because the one after that I'm really passionate about.
Oh, that. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island takes place on an island beach, specifically a Louisiana island beach. And every anime, every single one needs a beach episode.
Absolutely. And one of the core elements of anime is like how racially problematic they are.
Yes.
I'm thinking the black housekeeper in Promised Neverland. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking every character who isn't like white presenting in Dragon Ball Z, who looks like a Sambo doll. Mm-hmm. And I'm currently looking at the poster for Scooby-Doo and the Monster of Mexico, which has Scooby with two maracas and Shaggy wearing a sombrero, seemingly curb stomping the legendary Chupacabra as the title for Scooby-Doo and the Monster of Mexico, this seminal early 2000s Scooby-Doo movie. So racially problematic. It's an anime.
Absolutely. And speaking of otherworldly, the Scooby-Doo gang regularly gets thrown into different worlds and dimensions in their movies. Isekai much?
Come on. Where do you think Dot Hack got it from? Scooby-Doo, nerd. Jesus, you're so fucking dumb. Who are listening to this, I hate you.
Right, but stick with us, because we have even better reasons why it's still the anime.
3 words: talking, animal, sidekick. This is basically a Persona game with how much it leans into the sentient animal mascot trope. You gotta have one of these in your anime. And Scooby-Doo has it abounded. It even has Scrappy-Doo. You know what I mean? They double down.
Just in case one wasn't enough. They liked it so much, they did it twice. So much like in the original Godzilla and King Kong, it's all just people in monster suits. Thus, El Chupacabra is a kaiju.
Checkmate, atheists. Now, there is a late because of food trope in Scooby-Doo. Scooby and Shaggy are constantly eating, cooking up a sandwich in the Scooby-Doo series, and they're constantly getting in trouble because they were too busy eating. Much like the typical trope with the shonen protagonist who's late running to school and needs to run with the toast in their mouth. So this is just the toast in mouth experience, is these kind of like late pothead sandwich devourers here in Scooby-Doo.
Also, look, if you're not going to say it, Pax, I'll say it. Daphne Tsundere, Velma Zadandere, boom, duh. Both have been portrayed as shockingly thick. Very anime-style fan service. And I'm looking at you, Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed.
Absolutely, and I'm thinking monologues for exposition, and I would have gotten away with the 2 if it weren't for you meddling kids.
Classic.
Those 4-hour-long monologues taking up 17 episodes in Dragon Ball Z before anything even happens. I'm thinking they got that from Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. No such thing as too much exposition. Also, Fred is a class rep. Shaggy's clearly a delinquent. Velma is a hikikomori. Tropes abound. Tropes
abound. They are bounding everywhere. And our final example here, which this is, I mean, we really only need this one to kind of checkmate and, close the case on this, is that Scooby-Doo, it's animated. Like how anime is. Duh. Also, it's animated movies like never hit American theaters, just like anime. Just like how anime is.
That's right. So if that doesn't convince you, then you should just turn this off right now. You're never going to get it. You're never going to attain your dreams. You should just give up on everything right now. But for those of you who want to remain, those of you who can pick yourself up out of the primordial sludge of your ancient ancestors without any brain cells, stick with us as we go into the Scooby-Doo News Corner. All right, gang, let's talk about the most important news of the week, ranking it on our patented Scooby scale. Hey, gang, looks like we got another mystery on our hands.
Hell yeah. Now, our Brotakus News Corner was getting to be one of our most popular segments, and so we figured, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So here we go, cracking this mystery. First off, a Scooby-Doo animated film is set to hit streaming services next month. That's right, Scooby-Doo, the Sword and the Scoob is set to release soon, and we have an exclusive blurb for our duty squad right here. Quote, Morgan Le Fay sends the gang back in time to the days of Camelot, where they meet King Arthur and Merlin. Shaggy accidentally releases Excalibur, causing chaos in the land, leading the gang to go on a rescue mission when Shaggy is kidnapped. Thoughts? How do we feel about the Sword and the Scoob?
I'm going to say, if I had to rate this on a scale of Scooby Snacks, I'm going to give this 5 whole Scooby Snacks.
5 Scooby snacks. 5 Scooby snacks. Boom. Put it down. 5 Scooby snacks. No more commentary on this. It's great. You got Matthew Lillard returning. You got the voice of Azula. I forgot her name. Her name is like Gray something, playing Velma or Daphne. I forget the research here. But again, we're starting in duology. We just got our bachelors. We're heading for the masters. So give me time to learn this. 5 Scooby snacks for Scooby-Doo animated movie coming out. You want to take the next one?
Yeah, next up, the Ever Given Next up, the Ever Given Intercontinental Cargo Ship has blocked the Suez Canal. With total damages reaching upwards of $1 billion, intercontinental trade has ground to a halt. What are we gonna do, gang?
Yeah, so this is some bad news, man. I think the ship has just been freed, but it's going to, lead to supply chains absolutely collapsing throughout the Western and Eastern world. Really a catastrophic world event here for the world economy. What are we rating this news, man? What are we rating this news?
I think this is a jeepers. I think this is definitely a jeepers.
Nah, man, this is absolutely a zoinks if I ever heard it. You're seriously gonna get a jeepers?
I'd give it a jeepers, but if you want to stick with the zoinks, we'll give it the official Scooby-Doo zoinks.
Whoa. We are co-hosts. Can we meet in the middle on here? So we take the zoinks at one end, the jeepers on the other, and what's in the middle?
Jinkies. Exactly.
Jinkies. So the official Scooby-Dudes rating for this is going to be a Jinkies. Jinkies for this news of the Ever Given blocking the Suez Canal. Now, next up for our Scooby-Dudes News Corner, finally, Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz has been forced to pause his regularly scheduled program of demanding that transgender teens be forced to wear diapers at all times so they can safely poop in their pants rather than terrorize their classmates by using the school bathrooms. What caused him to pause his noble crusade? Well, evidence is mounting that Matt Gaetz has been active in sex trafficking teenage girls as well as grooming and assaulting a 17-year-old. After several disastrous interviews, the pressure is mounting for Republican Congressperson Matt Gaetz to resign. Thoughts on this news?
Yeah.
On Mr. Matt Gaetz doing this? Now, I do gotta just kind of like throw out here, I am so tired of these so-called cisgender people going around engaging in human trafficking and assaulting teenagers. This whole cisgender movement has just gone too far, and I'm willing to say it. Cisgender ideology, their whole idea that we're going to have kids that are cisgender and convert them to all this, it's like, it's frankly disgusting to me, this ideology going on. So really worried about this. Any thoughts on this news?
Honestly, I can't even say that much other than how I would rate it, because I feel like just these next 3 words are going to really sum it all up.
Right, so together now, we're rating Congressman Matt Gaetz being found out to be active in a sex trafficking ring. So the official Scooby-Dudes rating together now. I don't even need to guess what you're going to rate this, because we got this. So 3, 2, 1. Raggy. An absolute
big ruh-roh.
Big ruh-roh, Raggy. Definitely not a good look for you, fam. Definitely not looking good. Delete this. Make it make sense. Your silence is deafening. Shout out from the rooftops. I'm just trying to see something. There's a lot to unpack here. Why is no one talking about? Oh, you said the quiet part out loud. This, but unironically, I will just leave this here. Newsflash, you sweet summer child. Ruh-roh, Raggy. Official Scooby-Doo's rating for this news.
Absolutely. And that has been our Scooby News Corner. We'll see you meddling kids next time.
Banging, and we're back. So much like Brotakus, we do the news corner, we do the kind of roundup at the top, but we have a core subject today, right? Hal, what are we talking about today on Scooby Dudes?
So, for those of you who don't know, Scooby-Doo was originally created by Warner Bros., but they've been around for about 52 years now, and they've done some pretty interesting associations in some of their works. And like we said before, not all of those works got to the big screen. In fact, most of them didn't, going straight to DVD, the small screen, or just streaming services. And sources from the Scooby-Doo's News Corner have found a secret new works made by Warner Bros. And Studio Madhouse. That's right. We're not just talking about the original anime, the Alpha and Omega anime. We're talking about that anime is now seen as an anime. We got the best of both worlds in this new works, Scooby-Doo and the Gnarled King. That's right, everyone. That is right. So, let me give you a quick subject, a quick deep dive into the plot of Scooby-Doo and the Gnarled King.
Spit it, brother. Come on.
So, Scooby and the gang are about to turn over a dastardly criminal when they're suddenly transported to a grim alternate reality where real monsters outnumber humanity 10-1. After Velma is gravely wounded in a surprise attack by evil undead creatures later introduced as ghouls, she undergoes a horrific transformation that can only be reversed by killing the first ghoul, the Gnarled Lord. Ooh. With the help of the human-resistant Scooby and the gang take up their blades against the forces of darkness to save their friend.
Really, really great, solid. I think the best Scooby-Doo adventures always end in, hey, there's a cool new world, there's a supernatural element here. And I think the choice to nearly kill off Velma right away here is a friggin' brave one. And to introduce, murder as a necessity in this one, you could really see that they're stretching their wings,
Well, that, and it really introduces the concept of our immortality. We're talking about teenagers, we're talking about stolen youth, we're talking about, the monsters who are originally just men in mass stealing our youth from us, and we're allowing it, so in a way we're almost complicit in the loss of our lives. But in this case, it's literally just a ghoul murdering somebody, and I think that brings it back to something more simple,
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm glad they kind of have these big, simple metaphors going here. So I hear that this world is pretty lore-rich from what you were telling me before, right? Could you kind of give me a little taste of that?
Well, the movie is about 3 hours in length total, and I watched the uncut version.
That's before the kind of Snyder cut, director's cut version.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Studio Madhouse really went hard for this one. Warner Bros. Approached them. They said, hey, we really want to do an east to west type thing. How can we do this? And Studio Madhouse was like, all right, we're going to do this. They went hard the same way Phil Collins went hard for the Tarzan soundtrack. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'll just do a quick lore dump for all of you lore junkies out there. All of our
dump
Scooby-Dooties.
all over me, man.
Yeah,
Unleash
absolutely.
a hot Scooby-Dooty all over us now.
So the opening cutscene of the movie establishes the premise. Dragons once ruled the world during the Age of Ancients. A primordial fire known as the First Flame manifests in the world, establishing a distinction between life and death, as well as light and dark. Four beings find Lord souls near the First Flame, granting immense power. Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, Nito, the First of the Dead, the Witch of Izalith, and the Furtive Pygmy.
Shout out to all our Furtive Pygmy stands around there. We know you're out there. We get your letters. We will talk about the Furtive Pygmy one of these episodes. Absolutely. And Gwyn, Nito, and the Witch use their new power to destroy the dragons and take control over the world, while the Furtive Pygmy is said to be forgotten, and thus begins the Age of Fire. Now, one of these things about the Age of Fire and how it descends into darkness when the Gnarled King takes over with his hordes of ghouls. What I find so interesting is how, Gwyn, Nito, the Witch of Izalith, and the Furtive Pygmy take their new forms in the Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated gang. Fred as Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, Velma, the First of the Dead, Daphne as the Witch of Izalith, and Shaggy as the Furtive Pygmy. I really think that there were... such a Furtive Pygmy.
He's such a Furtive Pygmy.
Such a Furtive Pygmy. I mean, it's like tag yourself. I'm a Nito First of the Dead type.
Yeah.
But for Shaggy, that totally works. I totally see it. I love it for him.
And you know what? This is the kind of take that we never get to see for modern day anime.
Right. Yeah.
We never get to see such cool original reimaginings of iconic characters. I think they did something really brave here, Pax.
I think so too, because it's like the people got mad when they redid Teen Titans as Teen Titans Go and kind of made them chibi, and just kind of whipped a new art style on them and did that. But rarely do we get this big darker reimagining of things. This is the kind of DC grimdark remake of Scooby-Doo.
Right,
that's what people have always kind of wanted.
Well, yeah, and I've really always wanted to see Shaggy wield a Buster Blade. One of the long swords that take up about twice the length of his body. I have always wanted to see this, especially after seeing his strapping forearms for the first time when I was a child. I think that awakened something inside me.
Really? And you just you thought, what if that was wrapped around the hilt of a Buster Blade, those arms that Shaggy has?
Yes. Have you not?
What are you, a fucking cop?
I'm not sure if everyone's getting the full picture here. For those of you watching, for those of you listening, we really want to paint this for you.
Keep going.
Until it really gets to the big screen. So I really want to talk about like some of the really incredible moments in here. So this is classified as like an isekai horror battle anime. We see Shaggy with the Buster Blade. We see Fred with his iconic ascot. We see Daphne driving the mystery machine, even though she doesn't have a license, which is brave, Daphne. Brave. And Velma does a really great job being dead. And I really think that's a great move for them. So actually what I really wanted to talk about was that incredible fight scene with Daphne and Fred against the hordes of the Gnarled King's ghouls. I thought it was really, really cool how they introduced the concept of, Fred's ascot, like Wonder Woman uses the lasso of truth, where he did a front flip over 30 different ghouls, pulled his ascot around a ghoul and garroted it to death, crushing its esophagus. I thought that was really, really unique. And I think that with the concept of the first flame, and Shaggy being the furtive pigmy, I think it really went back to the whole toast in mouth, always late because of food thing. Like Shaggy didn't get to take part in the fights because he was busy using, roasting marshmallows over the first flame.
Yeah, absolutely. And so something you said about the first flame, I see this in here. You're talking about how the humans afflicted with the undead curse perpetually resurrect after their death until they eventually lose their minds, a process referred to as the hollowing.
Yeah.
And I think that that's such a brilliant reimagining, because when you think of the kind of like vacant, like vacuous gut that Scooby and Shaggy have, they truly are hollow individuals, ones who have this kind of insane black hole that constantly seeks to be filled. And I think that this is really a very deliberate meta commentary on the current like Gen Z millennial crisis, in which like we will not have a positive net worth until we hit an average age of like 31. Like we are the hollowed out generation. And I think that that's what Scooby and Shaggy's, insatiable appetite has always represented. But to see it manifested here, where in their kind of like hollow ghoulish rage at a certain point, they don't just view each other as the cartoon turkeys like they do in the original series. They literally rip each other's limbs off Tokyo Ghoul style, consuming them until only at the last second do they have that kind of reawakening of the spark where they realize, this is my friend, I shouldn't consume their leg. And
that, I think that really speaks back to the friendship no jutsu, the power of friendship concept that we were talking about earlier. Really great. But speaking of millennials and Gen Z and just sort of what the current trend is in regards to how we should treat each other, I really thought that the romance between Daphne and the Gnarled King was actually more sensitive than I originally anticipated.
I'm shocked they pulled it off.
Yeah, it was really like a Beauty and the Beast type trope, which can be overdone. But in this case, I really felt that it was tasteful.
Yeah, absolutely. And like it's the question is always like, what did the Beast do in the original Beauty and the Beast that was so bad? You know what I mean? And you kind of wonder like, okay, well, is it just because he looks that way? But it makes it a lot clearer that the Gnarled King sits on his bone throne that is supported by the meat flesh of his subjugants, and you really get to see, well, no, there's a body count with the Gnarled King. He is a beast, dude. Fuck this other beast who just kind of like looked like a monkey buffalo. Like, this a real ass dude. This a real one, dude. He does it for the streets.
Right, when you're looking at it, when you're looking at like the Gnarled King's body count and his single-minded drive to wipe out all of humanity and consume the light of the sun, I really felt like, does the Beauty deserve the Beast here?
Ooh.
So
you mean like why is a bony king like this even messing around with this fleshy bitch?
Yeah, is he wasting his time? I don't know. They kind of made me wonder. Like, seems like he's got better things to do, if you ask me.
And if I do have one criticism of the Scooby-Doo universe, it's that Daphne is presented to kind of be this, ever-desired kind of like hottie with the body, and yet her personality, her skill set, kind of whack, dude. I mean, like, Velma's the one who always got like the good brain and the fucking good thighs. She got like she a little DJ Nicholas Thickless up in here, but Daphne's, I think she's a little vacuous. If I had to say, I think she's a little vacuous, and your criticism about the Gnarled King romance is spot on.
Yeah. Oh, and finally, one of my final points. Finally, someone acknowledged that Scooby was trans. Finally, someone said it.
Finally.
And I've been thinking it for years, and I've been kind of scared to say it, but now I think I'm I'm in a safe space where I can finally.
Well, it's like the Princess Bubblegum Marceline romance and Adventure Time, where like it's clearly there, and yet for like whatever reason, whether it's that like the production company is like too worried about like how the like Russian and Chinese markets will react to like stating a queer relationship, like you know explicitly, it's like it's always there, but just to state it, it gives it so much power. So go on about your thoughts about this.
Well, it's just interesting. You know, it took Warner Bros. 52 years to fess up to that. Scooby. I mean, if you really think about the name, that's a very gender neutral name. That's not inherently masculine.
I don't think so.
That can be attributed to anyone. You don't need to be a specific gender to be named Scooby. And in fact, you know, I just think that the fact that Warner Bros. Took that long to do it, but they eventually got up the courage to admit, like, this was our original concept. This is what we've always wanted. But you know, we were a bit ahead of our time. I just props to them.
Yeah, props to them because it was always there, and something that I mean was very clear is, you know, we never saw Scooby's genitals.
Exactly.
And you think
I
about
thought it was
like
just because they neutered him.
Oh, I see. But the thing
That's
is, they don't chop your dick off in that, and it's something where, like in children's animation, when people think like, you know, Blue in Blue's Clues, we know Blue is a girl because we see her pussy all the time. You know what I mean? We know that the Paw Patrol, we know their genders because they're not wearing pants. We know Donald Duck's penis is always out, but we never really got.
Well, actually, you know, it's funny because ducks actually, there's our There are more like yeah.
They got like a corkscrew thing.
We never got the whole picture. Like Disney wasn't that brave in doing it, but they gave it a shot. It was kind of half-assed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, you know, because Scooby has become a trans icon, much like the Babadook has become a bisexual icon.
Yes.
When I talk to other trans people, and we talk about, you know, these stereotypical trans names, it's the same thing on the list always. It's Caden, Aiden, Jaden, Oliver, Levi, and Scooby.
Yes.
Those are the stereotypical like trans names now. And I mean, I personally know like 20 or 30 Scoobies, and this was like their main definition because it's, you know, this playful name everybody likes, clearly gender neutral, but just to put words to it, man, finally in Scooby-Doo and the Gnarled King.
And one more thing on that just really spoke to me was that Scooby has this trope of, you know, constantly being afraid of the monsters chasing them and just, you know, eating to fill that void and constantly relying on their partner Shaggy to lift them, quite literally lift them when they're running away from their troubles. And I think, but like at the end of every movie and every episode, Scooby always steps up, always remains true to themselves. And I think that the fact that Warner Bros. Finally admitted, like, yes, Scooby is trans. This is who they are. This is what they need to be. I think that really speaks to their arc as a whole, you know, like being afraid to say something in the beginning and then finally acknowledging it, finally saying, yes, this is who I am.
Absolutely.
This is who I am.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the bravest change that has been announced is that in that future, the Scoob and the Sword movie, they finally will, you know, they're getting rid of Scooby snacks as like dog food, which is not at all transcoded, and they are changing it to flaming hot Cheetos, which I think is going to be much more accurate as to the, you know, the queer lifestyle.
And it rolls off the tongue better.
It does, you know, like, would I do it for flaming hot Cheetos?
Yeah,
absolutely.
It works.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're looking forward to seeing that. But that said, as we're kind of wrapping it up on Scooby-Doo and the Gnarled King, what are the strongest, weakest parts of it? Who would we recommend this to? Is it good? What are you thinking as we give our final thoughts on this?
Well, you know, I feel like one of the strongest parts is the surprise factor here. I feel like when you look at the cover, you know, you always see like Shaggy and Scooby being chased by the monster while the rest of the gang is in the background. But in this one, you see Fred, whose ascot is dangling far below his pants. You see that Shaggy has actually grown wings as he ascends into his true form. You see that Scooby is in fact. You see that Scooby, despite the fact that they usually don't wear clothes, you can now finally see their genitals on the front cover. And I think it was just really, really exciting how. How like Velma wasn't even on the front. And like you walk into the movie thinking like, where's Velma? Like where is she at? And then you realize, oh, she's dead.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Velma's
dead.
Yeah.
Velma's dead. And Velma's the inspiration for why those of you who are watching the video, I'm wearing, you know, my like orange sweater today. But, I think that the realism was my favorite part of it because when you describe, you know, Scooby or Shaggy has wings, it's not, you know, angelic typical wings. It's literally as if through a terrible Kafkaesque metamorphosis, he buckled over and like a meat umbrella of his ribs has stretched out behind him. It truly is some pretty deranged and dark stuff, but stuff that really makes me believe it like I never did before. And speaking of anime links, Scooby-Doo makes me believe it. And so,
there we go.
Again, that's why I got to land it. So who would we recommend this to?
Everyone who can hear. That's not to say deaf people can't watch this movie as well. They do have subtitles.
Canceling Hal and getting on Twitter right now. I'm sorry.
They do have subtitles in multiple languages. Unlike something in the Witch, Earwig in the Witch, which only seemed to have no subtitles, like none at all, which was really, really frustrating on HBO Max. Fuck you, HBO Max. Just wanted to plug that real quick. I would recommend this to everybody that can experience it. I just think that it's a good all around reimagining of an iconic gang of troublemakers, that want to solve the mystery, and just be true to themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the thing that'll really reach us out in the new markets is the voice cast. I mean, you got Lance Reddick as Fred. You got Laverne Cox as Scooby-Doo. You have some really A-caliber casting. Who is your favorite cast member in this all-star lineup?
Well, I mean, look, I'm a big villain stan in every movie. Like Dio Brando. Love the voice actor for Dio Brando. And I think that Nicolas Cage as the Gnarled King was really a surprising choice.
For sure, he hasn't done a lot of voice work, but God.
But when he did, he went in with a bang, right?
He did. It was a literal bang in that there was an explosion and then sex.
Yes.
But I mean, the energy too was like a bang as well.
Yes, absolutely. Who would you say your favorite was?
I would have to say that amongst the whole cast, I was really grateful that they introduced DMX into the role of Daphne. I think that it was always, Daphne's voice actress was always very, I don't want to say shrill and annoying. I don't want to use like too heavily gendered stuff.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
But I honestly think that supporting previously incarcerated people is like really necessary. And the fact that DMX has spent like 80% of his past decade in various prisons located around Western New York for just doing things like driving down the highway at 180 miles an hour while having a blindfold on. I think that giving a totally innocent dude like that a second chance is really. That's what Scooby-Doo is all about. It's about forgiveness. It's about believing in yourself.
Well, Disney did it with Robert Downey Jr., or Marvel did, I suppose, originally. And that really made his career soar. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing DMX sort of spread his wings again and fly.
Absolutely. So that said, firm Scooby-Dudes recommend for Scooby-Doo and the Gnarled King. I give this one 5 Scooby Snacks.
Hey, and just for those of you, it goes from 1 to 5 Scooby Snacks, because if you eat any more than 5 Scooby Snacks, you get constipated. And that is a known fact among the Scooby-Doo fandom.
It is. Check it out on the wiki. So that said, I think that this has been perhaps the most successful podcast that you and I have ever done together so far. I think that we've reached a really beautiful ending point here. And I'm honestly really excited to continue this journey with you. Right, brother?
So am I. I think that when it comes to making like our entrance, we really kicked the door down and just crushed everyone on the other side. I think that was the optimal way to begin our new journey.
I absolutely agree. So that said, brother, you want to lead us out?
Yeah, absolutely. So, to everyone who's really excited to see us proceed as the Scooby-Dudes and watch Scooby-Doo and the Gnarled King, April Fools,
baby!
Oh, my dude, you just got pranked. Bet you didn't see that one coming, huh?
We made it up. None of it's true. You're all idiots. Ha! We lied to you. We love you so much for listening up to this point, though. We love you. So we were lying. We are still Hal and Pax. Brotakus forever. We're still going to be doing deep dives on what is.
Baby.
That's right. On what is and isn't worth watching. We just thought this would be a really good idea for April Fools. We had a great time with all of you. We hope you had a good time with us. And if you liked this episode, we'll be moving on to an amazing new show that has been rocking online streaming services. This coming episode, next week, we will be reviewing Jujutsu Kaisen.
Which is so good. Jujutsu
So
Kaisen
good.
is so good. I'm really sad to kind of have to turn in my, Scooby Duties cloak here, to renounce my Scooby duties, as it would be. But I think that Jujutsu Kaisen is going to make up for it because it's one of the bombest things ever.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Jujutsu Kaisen will help me restore the psychic damage you just gave me with that joke. I'm gonna have to.
And maybe Popeyes will take us back. Maybe it'll take us back after we reviewed a Western cartoon this time.
Well, I think that our argument was compelling to begin with. I think they just needed to hear what we did afterwards.
I think so.
Without
They probably thought, oh, look at these like young bucks who already have like one dub under their belt. We need to see a history. We need to see a pattern of success. You know what I mean?
Yes,
So
yes.
proving versatility. It's like when Michael Jordan quit basketball to play baseball and did totally just as good.
Right. Or the time he did Space Jam and Warner Bros. Ended up scarring an entire generation of young individuals who were sexually attracted to Lola Bunny.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, for our review on why Looney Tunes is the anime and
Yes.
why Lola Bunny is a direct descendant of Beastars, check us out next April Fool's Day when when the furry friends make their debut on your podcasting network. Brother, I've had such a good time today. But that said, you all right if I lead us out?
Absolutely. Please do.
All right, perfect. So everybody, thank you so much for watching us. If you like what you saw, please review us, leave a comment on our YouTube page. Check us out on YouTube, any podcasting app, social media. We're at Brotakus or Brotakus Podcast on every conceivable one of them. Check us out on Yik Yak, posting shade about our neighbors.
Yeah.
But we love you so much. We couldn't do this without you, and we're so excited to continue another year of Brotakus. And for everyone who got excited about the Scooby Duties, very sorry, but there's always Patreon. Maybe we'll do it up sometime.
Maybe we'll do it again.
Maybe we'll do it again. But thank you so much for listening. And with that said, all right, I'm Pax.
And I'm Hal.
And we're the Brotakus. See you guys next week, y'all.
Bye, guys.
Bye.